Hello everyone. Welcome to the informal discussion of PSR optional. Currently we are discussing paper 2 international relation and we have started with the first unit Indian foreign policy. Now in the last two class we have discussed what is the meaning of foreign policy, why a sovereign nation or a sovereign country have a foreign policy, what are the objectives and what are the tools through which this foreign policy is performed. Then we have also seen in the last class what are the basic objectives of foreign policy in the context of India. Okay, because our main focus is to know Indian foreign policy. So whatever relevant examples we have discussed with respect to India only. Now, if you remember, we have discussed the objectives like the very core objective of foreign policy is to protect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of a country, that is to safeguard the borders. Then in the second one we have seen to pursue international peace and security, that is to advocate peaceful coexistence, non-alignment, non-interference in the affairs of other countries. And thirdly we have seen that foreign policy is not only about the external environment, this also pertains to the internal development as well as the well-being of the countrymen. And we have seen how India constantly striving to have various kind of trade agreements in the form of SECA, SEPA, okay, to foster economic growth and to boost social progress or to have inclusive development. Right. Now, let us try to also understand what are the other objectives of Indian foreign policy. So more or less the three objectives we have discussed, these are the core. Other thing will be slightly repeating, but we will also see one by one. Safeguarding national interest. This is what we have discussed also. Hans Morgenthau, the realist scholar, says that protecting the national interest or safeguarding the national interest is the core objective of any foreign policy for say. And national interest means what? What can be possibly be the national interest of a country or a sovereign nation? Same thing, territorial integrity, security, economic development. Okay. Then promoting global peace and stability. So we have seen that international peace and security. Now this is also linked to that. See, India has played a big role in preventing conflicts or resolving dispute through peaceful settlement or promoting dialogue. See, we have a long culture of dialogue in our country or in subcontinent India. Okay. And this has been rooted in our foreign policy also. Scholar like Shashi Tharoor, he has advocated that how India has actively participated in the peacekeeping operation and various kind of international diplomacy. Example also we have discussed that how India contributes to the peacekeeping operation or peacekeeping forces to the UN, and continuously India has emphasized for the disarmament and avoiding any kind of military alliances. This also in the last class also we have discussed that because of this non-alignment, non-interference policy, India doesn't align with any of the country. Even during the Cold War also, we have not sided with any particular country. This is because of the culture, the value rooted in our civilization. Okay. So we have never uh, joined any kind of military alliances. Then fostering economic growth. This is same thing that I told you, that internal development and well-being. See, the foreign policy also is having the objective to create a conducive environment for economic growth. That is to attract FDI, to expand our trade, like to boost our export, right? See, economics like Urban Panagaria, he stresses that how it is very important to have economic consideration in the foreign policy. See, normally foreign policy we see it's like only bilateral talks between two countries. Okay, like whatever normal perception is, but it is actually very very wide. Okay, you can link to any of the dimension of a country. Can be economic, it can be defense, it can be military, it can be security, it can be diaspora, it can be social progress, anything. This foreign policy plays a role. I will give you example how foreign, because of the foreign policy, this economic growth is achieved. See, India, as you know, in India represented the voice of what global south. Now in WTO, there are various negotiations you may be knowing, right? So in that, what India is trying to do, India is trying to lobby, okay, the economic interest for the least developed country and for herself. For example, subsidy. This developed country, they don't want the subsidy regime to continue, but because it is the India's diplomatic efforts or the negotiation at WTO, okay, like example Doha round of agreement. So all these things for what? This is for to protect the economic interest, right? Then this foreign policy also utilized to address economic pressures and opportunity. For example, you see, you may be remembering America is having an act of CARSA, like that is countering American adversary through sanction. Now, because of our foreign policy, though India is buying, let us say, S-400 missile system from Russia, it is buying oil from Iran, but we have given a special waiver, okay, through this CATS Act. Now, this is the foreign policy. This is the work of foreign policy, right? They work behind the stage, and whatever bigger thing you are seeing behind that is foreign policy goes into. Then enhancing security, same thing. See, we have to strengthen our partnership for strategic partnership like India and USA. They have become strategic partners because we have signed many of the foundational agreements with USA in the recent years, like Limoa, Comcasa, right? Becca. So these are what? These are the kind of agreement. This is the foreign policy we are doing so that we'll strengthen our strategic partnership, right? Then we have also taken a lot of regional stability initiatives. For example, if you know, we have joined SCO. Now in Shanghai Cooperation Organization, there is a mechanism called RATS. That is that is to counter the what anti-terrorist structure. Okay, anti-terror. This is like a kind of anti-terrorist structure. This is RATS mechanism under SCO. Now, since India has joined this, so this will help to counter the regional terrorism. Okay, so this is kind of foreign policy, right? Then, of course, to counter all the terrorist activity. Now, regarding this enhancing security, now how our foreign policy also works, I will take an example. Recently, you may be remembering there were bans on lot of Chinese jam. Now, for why there is a ban? Okay, one angle you can say it's kind of economic trade war, but it is also more of a security because we have always doubted the integrity of Chinese firms because like Huawei and all, we thought they will be taking a lot of data, public data, and that will hamper the security, okay, the integrity of our country. That's why also lot of bans were there on Chinese applications. Okay, because of the national security consideration. Then protecting national sovereignty. See, this is the same thing. The biggest objective of any foreign policy is to uphold sovereignty. Sovereignty is what defines the foreign policy. Because if a country is not sovereign, if it is not free to take its own decisions without the pressure of another country, then what is the meaning of foreign policy? That's what. So we have to perform an independent foreign policy. We have to maintain peaceful relation with our neighbors. Okay. Then also we have to assert our interest in the international forums. Like China, you see how it is asserting. Okay. in different forums, in IMF, in World Bank. So like that also India also tries to raise its voice that you please give us permanent seat in UNSC, okay, make us a member of NSG. See, because of all this diplomatic effort, we got membership in MTCR, we got membership in Wassenaar Agreement, Australia Group, like that. So India is taking a lead, right? Then advancing global standing. See, every country wants to increase their stature in the global platform, right? So in order to influence the global influence, what you have to do, we have to perform the foreign policy in such a way that we also will be the norm setters. Like also we will also set the global norms, and will ensure that India's voice is heard. See, currently we have done the G20 presidency. Now you see how grandly we have performed. So this projects our what soft power. This projects our uh, ambition to become a responsible and great power. Okay. Now you may be knowing how India is a member of various groupings. Like India is a member of Quad, that is the US-led kind of bloc where Japan and Australia are also member. On the other hand, India is also member of BRIC. So India how tries to make a balance, okay, between the West and the rest, especially between China and Russia. Similarly, India is also a member of SCO. So, being a member of various contradicting groupings, India tries to assert itself or try to increase its global standing. That ESC, we are member of many of the important forums at present. Okay, so this is what foreign policy does. Even India is also not a member of G7, but continuously it has been invited by the G7 countries like France, Japan, even Italy also recently. So PM Modi is joining all these things. Then protecting Indian diaspora is also a very good objective. Let's see. It's not that through foreign policy only we will look after the citizen inside. No, there are also a strong diaspora. Our diaspora strength is around 17.5 million. This is as per the Global Migration Report. Now we have to also take care of this diaspora because they are our strength. So if through the foreign policy we are maintaining a good relationship with this country where our diaspora are existing, for example, UAE, Saudi Arabia, USA, then what will happen? Then we'll protect their rights. Okay, we'll protect their rights and interest of our diaspora. Okay, and we'll also provide supports whenever they need. Right. Currently, also we have performed many of the operations where our Indians are stranded and we have evacuated them. For example, Operation Devi Shakti. This is evacuating citizens from Afghanistan. Operation Ganga, evacuating students from Ukraine during the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Evacuation from Sudan during recent civil crisis. You may be knowing how PM Modi, when he goes to USA and all, how this very big events are happening like Howdy Modi, right? So this is what this is whenever he goes to Australia, US, and European countries. How this diaspora will be interacting with PM Modi because for what? Because we have to protect their interest as well as they are the ambassador for our country. Okay, because of their effort, we are able to make many of the economic deals, okay, because they are also in very powerful position in other countries. Okay, you see Kamala Harris, okay, she is running for the presidential election in USA. Now she is of Indian origin. Now this Indian origin people, what they will do, they will also have a good relationship with our country. Then that will benefit both way. So this is what the diplomatic effort does, the foreign policy does. Now, I hope we have briefly discussed all the objectives of foreign policy. See, there may be many other objectives, okay? So, all the broader objective of Indian foreign policy we have discussed. Then, like our S. Jaishankar, he also defines that what are the core objectives of our country or of our foreign policy. He says the foreign policy is having a role to address global challenges. See, in a multipolar world, okay, where there are conflicting interests of and there because there are various stakeholders, right? So what we are doing, we are trying to negotiate with each of the stakeholders by participating in various forums. Okay, so there was an era where we are not at all aligned But Jaishankar says now we are multi-alignment, okay, from non-alignment to multi-alignment. So case to case basis, we'll see our national interest, okay, then we'll align with all kind of a various range of stakeholders, okay, because until unless you engage yourself, for example, you see India's policy has been a kind of you see in Afghanistan, it used to never acknowledge Taliban, but after this US withdrawal from Afghanistan, now we are dealing with Taliban, okay. Same with Myanmar, okay. We always emphasize there will be democracy, then only we will talk, but that doesn't work in real scenario. So we have taken pragmatic steps, okay. If we have to engage with the military government in Myanmar, yes, we have to do it, because then only we can protect our interest. Then also he says that managing global contradiction is also the objective of foreign policy. See, we have to navigate this international dynamics. See, the geopolitics changes very fast, okay. So we have to balance the interest, okay. See, we have to at a time appease, not appease, like we have to be a friend of USA and the same time also a friend of Russia. See, Russia is our like all weather friend. It has helped us in many times in the time of crisis, like in 1971. Okay. So though we are going closer to USA, that doesn't mean we have started drifting away from Russia. See, still we are purchasing the Russian oil. We are taking all the defense and military equipments from Russia. This is what we are diversifying our portfolios. Okay. And we want to leverage all kind of opportunity, all kind of partnership. Okay. Then also he says that in a multipolar world, India also tries to shape the global norms. Okay. See, always India has been looked like a fence sitter. Like India will not take any decision. But that era has been gone. Those era has gone. Now we are taking decisive actions. Okay. For example, you see what happened in the Uri strike, surgical strike. Nobody have ever imagined that we will have a counter strike. Okay. But we did it. Okay. So there is a change in our foreign policy, because we have to align our interest in a constantly changing global dynamics. And this is what in the last 10 to 15 years after 2014, we can see a decisive shift in our foreign policy. We have been vocal, okay. We have created institutions like international solar alliances, coalition for disaster resilience. So all this initiative, why we have taken, see this, we want to increase our global standings, right? We want to contribute to the global good. You see how in United Nations framework convention on climate change, we have aggressively increased our nationally determined contribution. For what? Because India wants to show to the world that yes, we are also concerned for the climate change, and at the same time also it pressurizes the developed country to release the fund under global under green climate fund. So this is what, and this has become a time now that any country, okay, be it USA, Russia, China, okay, they cannot ignore now India. And this is a victory of our diplomatic efforts. This is a victory of our, but victory of our foreign policy. So I hope you will be trying to link every actions, okay, happening inside and outside our country, linked to foreign policy. So with this will end the class, and I I thank you all of you for patiently listening to me. I'll be very happy if we can comment so that we can have interactive discussions to go about further. So in the next class, we'll try to see what are the challenges of Indian foreign policy. Right? Thank you everyone.